and I'm not supposed to be able to do this. So as soon as I hammer that knuckle, it should have gone pop right up. And this is definitely going to develop into a serious problem if not addressed. There's always the typical wear of front end components. Maybe you have loose ball joints that wear over time, some bad boots that need to be addressed, maybe some squeaks, bangs, and clunks from worn out shocks, springs, sway bar links, whatever it might be. But there's always that small chance of components that wear and need to be replaced, but they just don't show the obvious signs, and that's when you need to pay closer attention. As you can see, this truck has had quite a few parts replaced recently. A bunch of suspension components were refreshed, which is great. However, when those repairs were performed, some of the hidden problems became quite obvious. Now, driving this truck, especially after all these parts were replaced, well, it felt great. It felt like it was a nice, smooth riding truck with no apparent symptoms. But if you look close, there's more to the story. No matter what suspension components you need, check us out at 1A Auto, where we sell kits that contain both sides so you can do the job right the first time. Looking closely to where the bushings are on this upper control arm, I see a shiny spot on the frame, almost like the rubber was touching it and moving up against it, kind of buffing it in a way. Well, it's not touching right now and it's quite far away. That's pretty much where it should be, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't touching previously, because if I take a pry bar and pry this control arm, yeah, that's not supposed to move that much. And of course, now it's touching. As you can see, there's some rubber peeling off here, and I am able to move this an excessive amount. And this is definitely going to develop into a serious problem if not addressed. Let's dig in a little bit further on here. I'm going to pop the upper ball joint off of the knuckle, separate the two, and then we can move the control arm independently and just see how bad these bushings are. Well, right as soon as I took that mounting nut off and the tube broke free, I could tell exactly what was happening. This control arm is supposed to be under upwards tension with the suspension hanging. So as soon as I hammered that knuckle, it should have gone pop right up. This would be about right height, and as you can see, the knuckle is way lower, which means the bushings aren't pulling it up, they're holding it in place. And I'm not supposed to be able to do this. This is not good. To better understand what's happening, I can somewhat explain on this new control arm that we're going to replace this old one with. And after this comes out, I can show you exactly what is happening. So basically what you're seeing here is this bushing. There's, well, let's say 3 pieces to it: an inner sleeve, the rubber, and the outer sleeve. Sure, you could replace just the bushings. These just press in and out easily. But except it's not that easy, because not only do you have to remove the control arm to do that, you then have to use a bushing press, maybe some air tools, and sometimes even a ball joint press, depending on whatever setup you have going on to press these in and out, or really just a hydraulic press. So overall, for me, it's a lot more of a headache to get bushings pressed out and back in when I can do the whole control arm, refresh the ball joint at the same time, which, by the way, this boot is starting to crack, so this isn't going to last much longer. So what I will do is replace both sides upper control arms. So let's get this old one out, inspect the worn bushings a little bit closer, and get this truck riding normally again. Because these actually do help the spring and the shock create a nice smooth ride as you're going down the road. Since these bushings aren't meant to free float, they actually get pinched in here and they provide some tension, therefore help out the front shocks. And there it is. Yeah, that's not looking great. With the control arm off the truck and clamped on in my vise, we can pinpoint the issue a lot closer. Now, both bushings are basically on the same level. I know I only have one clamped on in here, but they're both the same. As I spin this, you can see that the rubber is actually spinning around on that inner sleeve, which it's not supposed to. It's supposed to all be glued together as one piece. And just so we can compare, here is what the new control arm with a good bushing should be like. Yeah, you can move it, but it should not be spinning. It should just be slightly pivoting and flexing that rubber. That's it. So, of course, that needs to be addressed. But as a bonus here, something I didn't quite notice before just because the knuckle was mounted here and it was kind of hiding this, the ball joint boot is completely torn on the back. So I did see all the cracks on the front and I knew that it wasn't going to last too much longer, but the back is definitely completely done. Water and debris is going to get in there and completely wipe out this ball joint. So it's a good thing we're putting an entire new control arm on this. We're going to get the new bushings and the new ball joint with, of course, the new boot. Get this fixed up nicely, and of course I'll do the other side as well, and then the truck will be good to go. Here's a quick tip for you. When you tighten up the bushings on any control arm, really, you want them at right height. As you saw, they can tear, and if you don't tighten them at right height, they will tear prematurely, and you're going to be back doing the same job again. So putting them at right height ensures that they are under no load or no tension as the vehicle drives down the road. Well, we got this truck fixed up. It's ready to go. Now, don't forget to get in alignment after you replace any suspension or steering component in the front end because it will change it. Even if you don't notice it right away or if it doesn't pull, that doesn't mean it isn't slightly off and will wear your tires out prematurely.